Welcome back to the Writer's Room. This is Let's Write, the show where we take some big movie ideas and turn them into pitches, treatments, and screenplays. I'm Ryan Matsunaga, and joining me, as always, is my lovely co-writer, Julian Rose.
Feels like an appropriate time to throw in a spooky jazz.
Spooky jazz. When is this episode going out, though? If we miss the date, we're going to seem really dated.
Oh, shoot, you're right. Halloween is in
Just put yourself on a deadline.
Okay,
all right.
Just as
and
of...
delivering the episode on time this week is Julian Rose.
As of the date of recording, spooky jazz is appropriate.
And this week we have two very special guest writers with us. Two guests, double the quality of pitches or your money back. I'm willing to guarantee that. First up, reprising her role as the genius who combined Godzilla and Adam Sandler, Drew Grant.
Hi everybody. So happy to be back.
Welcome back. And in
Thank
his
you.
very first appearance in the Writer's Room, you know him from Screen Junkies, you've seen him on the Schmodown, Mr. Lon Harris. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So this week we'll be booting up our patented hit-making story algorithm 10,000 Turbo Edition Pro Max again and pitching some movie ideas based on the parameters it gives us. And Julian, might I remind you that this algorithm runs on faith and dreams, so please don't doubt it again or it might have terrible consequences.
And 5G, Ryan. We're being paid by the 5G people.
Oh, okay. We're part of the 5G conspiracy?
5G conspiracy.
All right, Julian, why don't you take this first one? Why don't we
All right.
boot it up here?
Hit me.
Julian, the algorithm is telling us that, unsurprisingly, Disney live-action adaptations are really hot right now. But I think after Mulan, maybe this takes place in an alternate universe where Mulan did gangbusters on Disney+. Maybe it did, maybe we didn't. We don't know. We don't have the data. But it's asking us to generate a Disney live-action adaptation that's a drama and is also a remake or reimagining. So something that's I think more in the vein of Mulan, where it's really far removed from the source material, where we're not just doing a Lion King shot for shot, the lions are CG now, but we're really taking whatever the source material is and spinning it into something that feels completely unique. What do you got for us?
So just to reiterate, it's Disney. Did you say live action?
Disney live action adaptation. So let's take one of the Disney classic properties.
Okay.
Put it into live action. Let's do it in more of a dramatic sense, so make it a drama. And we're looking for something that is a complete remake or reimagining, so no shot-for-shot kind of reconstructions.
This is the Maleficent of the
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, I got that.
That's a good. You're right. That's a great touch point. Yeah, this is tough because my first immediate thought was Sword in the Stone as like a drama, and then I was like, no, they just did that with Guy Ritchie, and it was King Arthur, and it was very good.
So that's a good place to start, though. Like, what do we have left? What haven't they done?
That's what I was trying to think. I'm trying to look up a list right now to think.
You
of
got
like
the
what I-
Rescuers, I feel like. Is that Disney? I feel like that's Disney.
That is Disney.
Yes, The Rescuers is Disney, yeah.
Oliver and Company? We got those early ones with the animals.
So we only have animals left, it seems.
Well, listen, you guys are missing the big obvious one, I think,
Huh?
which is the Black Cauldron. Like not only a huge epic fantasy drama, but a story they kind of biffed on the first go around that is really due for a reprisal.
That's fair.
Okay.
In a world where Willow can get an entire series, I feel like the Black Cauldron is due for some redemption.
Yeah, I mean, like they kind of had a lot of trouble balancing the tone the first time because they were still trying to do like funny kiddie stuff, but make it like Horn King evil, really dark. And I think now we could just do away with the childishness entirely and just make it, like Mulan, like more of an adventure film.
What angle do you think we could potentially take on a potential Black Cauldron movie that would, quote unquote, like justify the remakiness? I feel like the obstacle that we have to beat here is that the audiences are kind of dimming, I feel like, on the idea of these Disney live action remakes. I feel like we need
Right.
to do a little bit extra legwork at this point to sort of go, this is the reason why it needs to exist.
And remind me
Yeah,
what
I
the
mean, I
Black
think
Cauldron
the-
is again.
What? Oh,
Am I-
yeah. I think that's the advantage is that most people don't necessarily already associate. Like it's a series of books by this novelist Lloyd Alexander. They're based on Welsh mythology, so I feel like you sell it on that, like more like a YA sweeping fantasy adaptation. And as an afterthought, you're like, by the way, there is a classic Disney animated version of this story. But I don't think you don't need to make it like, hey, it's new Aladdin. Like that's how you sell some of these other ones.
You almost pretend like the original movie didn't get made until like, the end of the trailer. Like this is just almost like a complete revamp. Now, remind me some of
And
like
you
the
cut Gurgi.
Who's Gurgi?
Oh,
You have to remind me some of the characters.
I'm out. I'm off this project.
Oh no.
Gurgi's the really annoying little creature guy who kind of undermines the seriousness of the rest of the movie.
Isn't there someone like the
I'm
Demon
just
King in
saying,
this?
maybe we make the Gurgi character the main character. Really shake
It's now
things up.
just Gurgi's story. Yeah.
Who's the bad guy in the Black Cauldron? Isn't some guy with horns on his?
It's the horned king.
Okay.
He doesn't have a name. That's just they call him the Horned King.
So, in the vein of Maleficent, maybe the story is from the Horned King's perspective. This is the Horned King story.
There's really not that much to him other than he's really based a lot of his personality around the horned thing. Like, he's really...
Well, let's dive into it.
Yeah, that's kind of where he's hanging his antlered skull mask, is on the Horned King thing.
Look, when you got a good gimmick, you lean into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see Dominic West as the Horned King.
Could I pitch two that are potentially pretty weird and like I always say, let's just like let them fly and then go right into the trash can immediately. But just for the sake of, I think, interesting conversation, my first thought was, oh, let's do the Lion King but with people, and then I was like, that's just Hamlet because the Lion King is just Hamlet with lions.
I love it.
So I just remade Hamlet, but along those lines, I was thinking, okay, so here's two interesting, I think, directions, neither of which, okay, I guess one of them technically got a live action adaptation, but what if we did either Bambi or Lady and the Tramp, but as like a heavy drama, and it was with people instead of like, you take the general beats, but you like Bambi could be, because I think Bambi gets hunted by a hunter at some point, right? So that could be like a on the run sort of thriller, and his mother gets murdered and he has to take out revenge, and it's basically your classic Liam Neeson fare.
Wait, so are these still deer, or these
No,
are
they're
no,
human
like
in
it's
his world.
we're humans, but like it's the same beats, and then
Got
same
it.
thing with like Lady and the Tramp could be more of a bit of more of like maybe a romantic drama.
Okay, I need to go back to Bambi because I need to better visualize your concept of Bambi as a human drama.
It's Bambino, and it's about like a
Oh
young...
my god!
Right? No, but here's the thing. I don't think the need to make it a drama. I forgot about Bambi. Bambi's already a drama. It doesn't even have that many songs. I think Bambi can stand as a story about deer, and it's a story now about global warming and the animals encroached on in their wilderness from various new threats. I think that, Bambi is a drama. Bambi is not like a kid's movie.
Oh man, you're right. Could the angle then be like a endangered group of an endangered culture or an endangered group of people that are being encroached on by other? Like, could we find that angle in it? Like
an Amazonian tribe? I mean, maybe.
Or like a gentrification story.
Oh,
like
man.
It's about Bambi and his neighbors being moved out of the woods by.
So, I'm sorry, when Bambi's mom gets shot, that's obviously going to be by not a hunter anymore. But I think you can sort of see where I'm going with this. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, it's like the beloved neighborhood, like Bambi's Mother restaurant, and it's now greedy developers are tearing it down for condos,
And she gets shot by a cop, is what I'm trying to say.
Right, there you go.
oh man, did we just invent the next Oscar-winning drama?
It's basically Queen and Slim, but they are Bambi and Thumper.
Oh
It's
man,
vampires in the Bronx, but instead of
Yeah.
vampires, it's developers.
It's-
Instead of the
right.
Bronx, it's the woods. Maybe still the Bronx. I don't know.
what is Disney doing? Do they want to win an Oscar or not? Because we're coming in here with the gold, literally.
It's pretty
And
good.
that they haven't thought about this or haven't tried to do this
It's so
is remarkable.
timely. It's so timely.
Yeah, it's a real yikes. I would say we could even keep in how many songs are there in Bambi? Like one.
Are there
Two?
songs in Bambi?
There's drip, drip, drop, little April showers.
wow.
There's that one.
Okay.
Drip,
never
drip,
mind.
drop,
Okay.
little April showers. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the only one I can remember. Actually, there might be a love song, but
There's probably like 8, and there are Disney fans listening to this now, like, you idiots!
how dare you?
How dare you?
Okay,
Yeah.
but you're right. And let's bring Lin-Manuel Miranda in and have him do a hip-hop musical version
Wow.
of the tracks.
We do have him on Disney forever. He is signed to Disney contracts now for the rest of his life.
I mean, it just writes itself, frankly. Like it's already this is easy money and accolades for them. I don't know why they wouldn't do this.
Yeah, he can repurpose some of those In the Heights songs. They're already kind of subtextually similar.
Yeah, but In the Heights is already going to be a movie. In fact,
You're
you know
right.
what? Let's just do this. Let's just repurpose In the Heights as now it's just going to be without the songs. It's now a drama, and it's the plot of Bambi, but it's still In the Heights.
Well, yeah, we'll just
But it's, you know.
we'll hijack that movie and hijack that vehicle. Just turn it
Yeah.
into Bambi, the gritty drama.
Yeah.
Also, I think the great mouse detective should just cross over with Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes. Like, why mess around?
Why
Just put
not?
these in the same movie. We have the technology.
Okay, but is it a cartoon mouse or is it a photorealistic mouse that happens to be wearing a
Yeah,
little
no,
Sherlock Holmes
photo.
outfit?
I mean, I think it goes without saying that it's a photorealistic mouse. Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes doesn't exist in a Toontown world. It's a real mouse.
Yeah, obviously a real mouse. I do think like we do need to cast this sucker. I see Thumper. I see Thumper being Lin-Manuel. I think that's
Oh, wow.
absolutely a Lin-Manuel role.
I dig it.
I'm
I dig
intrigued.
Yeah.
it. Bambi.
I'm gonna say Childish Gambino, and it's gonna be
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
There we go.
Whoa.
He's
Done.
already Simba. He can't be both Simba and Bambi.
Yeah,
You
can
watch
tell
him.
that's
He can.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot to put on one guy.
Can we get Journey Smollett Bell in there? Just because I feel like everything she does is like phenomenal, and I feel like just work her, even if we have to write a character for her, just like get her in there somehow.
Well, she could be
You know what? We
Flower.
could give her- she could
Flower
be
the
Flower.
skunk.
That's
Yeah.
what I was gonna say. Flower. She could be Flower.
Yeah, I'm super into that. It's actually funny now. I'm thinking of is it Jonathan Majors? Is that his name? The guy from Lovecraft Country.
Yeah.
He could be
Yes.
Bambi too. He feels like a really good central protagonist who's like somewhat
Oh, there you
vulnerable.
go. Yeah.
And it's now set in the backdrop of behind the like after the Vietnam War.
Are we just hijacking every property on television and movies
Yeah.
right now?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, we are.
absolutely. We're gonna give it a much higher production value than Lovecraft Country, though. So it's
I
gonna be
mean,
great.
this is a podcast about screenwriting, right? So it's only natural. That's what the professionals do.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm not even joking. I'm very into this idea. Like, I think this could be a legitimately fun screenplay to write, and I think it'd be hilarious to like have the movie and at the beginning be like based on the story Bambi.
Yeah.
Based loosely on the property of Bambi. Yeah, I love it.
Genuinely, like it does feel like in another world a move that Disney could make as just sort of a middle finger to all the people criticizing them for just rehashing all of their animated properties. Just be like, all right, you didn't like that? Well, here's this.
This was a thing when I first started trying to get into screenwriting. I was doing coverage a lot. Peter Pan was very frequently being repurposed in this way, where it's like, it's a gritty drama about the drug trade in our major cities, and like fairy dust is the name of the drug, and Captain Hook is a dealer, and like there were a lot of like gritty attempts to reimagine Peter Pan for whatever reason.
Oh, I like that. Well, because Peter Pan is a horror story. It's about a vampire.
Well, it's just, yeah, the pirates as being like a gang, and Peter Pan as being like, you know, Wendy's this impressionable girl who gets sort of seduced into
From
the
the nice
dark
part
side.
town. Yeah.
Yeah, like it makes sense on that level.
Well, that's a whole different movie, but I do like that one as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty wild too that I just thought of, and like this should not derail our conversation by any means. I'm just gonna throw it out there and then we'll move on. But what if like what would be wild would be Lion King, but a hard sci-fi, like an intense space, like same concept of
Hamlet
like
in space.
Are they still lions?
I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Like they could be.
Well, it could be like Thundercats, yeah, where they're just space lions or
But,
whatever.
again,
but-
aren't we just saying then that we're talking about Hamlet in space?
Well, it's Dune, really. Like Dune is, you've got all these like royal families that are sort of battling it out, but
Yeah,
they
that's
each
true.
control planets. So like Pride Rock in this version is just like a planet, and like it's
Ah.
about, you know, this battle for supremacy between, you know, Scar's faction and Mufasa. Like I think like you could make that work.
Damn, it all comes full circle. Hamlet is Lion King with Lion King is Hamlet with lions, and then Dune is just space Hamlet.
Yeah, just baseline Hamlet.
Dune really is kind of like space Game of Thrones. Like that's how I've been sort of describing it to people, and like it kind of does hold together. There's like House Harkonnen, and it is sort of the same idea.
Somewhere out there, 1,000 angry Dune nerds just threw their through their
Oh
books
yeah,
at the
no, they
screen
don't.
right now.
They're not going to like
How
that, but
dare
it's
you.
true because they know deep down in their heart that it's true.
It's a good time to point out the opinions of our guests do not reflect the opinions of the show by any means. Please don't unsubscribe and please keep listening to our show.
No, they do.
They do. That's
They absolutely
No,
do.
that
no,
was
they do. Sorry.
that was in your rider. That was in the contract.
Yeah. Listen,
Cool. I think okay.
Quits Hats Hatterack is part of the Brotherhood of Bad Without Banners. Just accept it.
Okay. So I think gritty drama Bambi was fun. I'm gonna boot up the old 5G algorithm. Got to shout out the 5G again. It's actually 6G now. Just over the course of the show, just
Wow.
now. Just
Oh,
upgraded.
wow.
We all have several diseases now.
So many diseases. But I'm gonna boot it up, Lon. I'm gonna tee you up if you're ready for a pitch from the handy dandy algorithm. So let's do
it.
A boop 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 boop. So here's what it is. So your IP or your franchise is John Wick, obviously a very fun universe to engage with.
Sure, big fan.
But the angle here is we're going for horror.
Okay.
And the sort of twist to the whole thing is that it's got to be a crossover with another franchise.
Yeah, no, I think I have an idea. So John Wick, he's like the most lethal character like that. What each movie now, the challenge is, well, what do we put John Wick up against that he can't just kill? Because he's so lethal, he can take out anyone, but he can't take out someone who has all powers in his already haunted dreams and nightmares.
Oh, whoa.
So I feel like John Wick, he has a marker out, a very powerful, leader under the table. He owes them a favor. He can't get out of it. There's no other choice. He has to kill Freddy Krueger.
Oh, wow.
And this is going to be John Wick's latest challenge. But how can he possibly go and kill Freddy Krueger inside his dreams? Well, this is what he needs to figure out over the course of the film.
I love this. You know that I love this. But first of all, I want to ask you a question, Lon. Who in the family is strong enough to have a marker that also lives on Elm Street?
They don't necessarily need to live on Elm Street, but they do have to have. It's somebody that Freddy is like hunting their child because when Freddy was alive, this powerful criminal wronged him in some way, and so now Freddy has a vendetta against them. And so, like Freddy's coming for their child, so that's why they're motivated. It's some local New York gangster.
Quick question for any horror experts in the room. I'm a little bit rusty on my Freddy the Krueger lore.
Oh, great.
And
I got it.
We don't have to play by the playbook, of course, but in the established lore, is Freddy Krueger, is he trapped in Elm Street? Can he only kill in Elm Street?
Great
Or
question.
Could he globally franchise this if you wanted to?
I believe that as long it's he's in your dreams. So as long as he's got that connection to you, I don't think he's geographically limited at all. I think wherever the person who's dreaming about him goes, there he can follow.
Right. It's not geographic. However, Freddy Krueger only haunted the children of the Elm Street parents who killed him. And therefore, when he ran out of Elm Street kids to kill, he actually couldn't continue on. Like he people need to know about him and believe in him in order for him to be effective. So he needs other people to go to other towns and tell other kids about him, so they start dreaming about him.
I mean, I think we could say we're in maybe the next generation. So this powerful gangster grew up on Elm Street and has since moved.
Yeah,
but that's his.
He was
connection.
he was one of those kids that was in first semester.
Right. We come up with a way to tie this character to Elm Street, who now is going to hire John Wick. But Freddy normally would not have a connection to John Wick, other than John Wick is now purposefully going into dreams, hunting down Freddy Krueger in an attempt.
Well, I see this as such a good. And I'm sorry, what was the third prompt on this?
It's a horror crossover that involves John Wick.
I mean, I see him Freddy Krueger's only as effective as he is scary. So, if you're not scared of Freddy Krueger, that actually is I think the ending of number 1. It's just she sort of turns his back on him and she's like, I'm not scared of you anymore. Right. And therefore it's not effective. So how to make John Wick scared of Freddy Krueger, at least, when he's kind of scared of nothing and he is the Baba Yaga boogie woman.
See, but this is But that's why the advantage of being in his dreams, where he's haunted by memories of his
wife,
dead wife
exactly.
and his dead dog. That's how you get an angle
That's
on
exactly
John Wick.
it.
Freddy is constantly on the verge of re-killing his wife.
Yeah, or like showing up as
And
the
his
wife.
dog.
Showing up as the wife.
And destroying his car.
Yeah, and he's coming back as all his dead friends. We get Willem Dafoe back
Yeah.
in the cast.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah, we just see Freddy as all these alternate people that he's killed. So we get the whole cast back. We get everyone from the first
Yeah.
3 films that we've already lost.
Well, he's going to threaten to kill John Leguizamo before he can finish fixing that car.
Oh my god, yeah, right. We get Alfie Allen back for some reason.
Oh man, and you know Ian McShane would deliver some sort of killer nightmarish monologue and become
Oh, my
become
God,
a uber
yeah.
threatening.
Well, you're going to
figure.
think, oh, you believe that it's Ian McShane at first, but then Winston like pulls his face off to reveal that he's been Freddy the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, you see, like, I also see that, like, someone has to be the guide for John Wick. There always is. There's Halle Berry. I see it's his name Lance, the guy who plays the concierge.
Yeah, Lance
Yeah,
Reddick.
yeah.
That's
Reddick.
the name I was going to go with, and I was like, that seems like somebody else. So Lance Reddick, I see him as being sort of the person. Oh yes, I know all about the Dream Warriors, because that's the other thing is Freddy Krueger can be defeated by Dream Warriors, which are people who in their dreams have a special set of skills. So that's brought up
Right.
in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. So John Wick would need some cool Dream Warrior powers.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he's going to discover over the course of the film. Exactly.
Right.
He's got to become a dream warrior.
Well, I mean, think about what I think is so cool about the premise is like if we think about what we know about John Wick is that he's obviously a expert at most of the things that he does, right? He's a master hand-to-hand combat specialist. He's a master arms specialist. So I think it's so fun to like so frequently in these types of movies you put someone into that scenario who is like some kid or a scared kid, someone who has no training, to
Right.
pick up skills or learn things. So it'd be so fun to invert that a little bit and put someone like John Wick in the scenario who is so adept at picking things up and is already so highly trained and has so much control over his body and his mind that to see him then wield the powers of the Dream Warrior seems like such a fun prospect.
Yeah.
And I feel like lends it. I'm imagining some like Spider-Man Far From Home type, dream world visuals that would be so fun.
I was actually going to bring up that Freddy Krueger himself like lives in a mind palace of sorts, or like it's a Freddyverse, or I forget what the name of the Dreamverse. And it is like it's this multi-layered, like sort of can look like anything, but it oftentimes takes the form of a boiler room at first, and then this sort of MC Escher-like staircase room, or like area that I feel like could be an awesome place for some fight sequences. I just thought like Freddy Krueger's endgame here isn't to kill John Wick, it's to do a Freddy's Revenge, like the second movie, and to merge with John Wick.
Right. No, exactly. Yes. Freddy's
man.
endgame is become one with John Wick and then become the most lethal human being on
Interesting.
planet Earth, of course.
Is John being set up here potentially?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's a great third act reveal. The guy who hired him with the marker, which is actually very in keeping with the John Wick franchise, that he's always being enlisted by people who really have an ulterior motive in bringing him in.
I mean, that's absolutely right. I think that there's, so Freddy's going to be trying to merge with John Wick, and there's going to be one fun sequence where, Freddy gets into the real world and he is John Wick, and he's putting on the glove, and he's just going to town on people.
I also think everybody always refers to John Wick as Mr. Wick. And I think that's how you reveal that Winston is actually Freddy, is he's about to call him Jonathan or Mr. Wick, but then he calls him bitch. And that's how
Yes.
you know it's Freddy. And then slashes him with the glove.
Well, and he's already missing one finger, right? So Freddy should be like,
Right, yeah.
Oh, can I pitch you guys a climax real quick, like in rough beats, and
Please.
just you tell me what you think? Because I'm kind of seeing a really fun opportunity to do like kind of like a third act leading into the climax of the film would be. I love this idea that at a certain point, like I like the idea that the middle act of the film is a lot of like we get into the dream world, and that's where we kind of see John struggling against Freddy. And I like the idea that the end of the second act, kind of that hero's darkest moment, so to speak, would be Freddy winning, at least for the time being, and taking over the John Wick body. And so I think it'd be really cool to have this climactic set piece where now the people who are pulling the strings with Freddy have now achieved their goal, but obviously Freddy Krueger has his own goals, and so there's a bit of tension and discord happening there. And now there's a thing that he's after in the real world, and we have meanwhile John in the dream world trying to fight that mental battle to regain control of his body, and you get this constant flipping back and forth between the three parties who have different goals. I think would be a really, really fun and dynamic third act.
I think it's gonna be awesome. Like when they finally, maybe on the other side, they find a way to like, sort of Ian McShane or whatever or Lance Reddick finds the magic thing, says the incantation, eyes glaze over, we're back. So it's been Freddy Krueger fighting these, people in the real world who he's trying to kill or grab their children or whatever he's become. And his eyes glaze back over. We're back to John Wick, and he stares at the guy who gave him that marker, and he's like, phew, John, you're back. And he's like, yes, but now you have to fight me. And that's like a way, it's going to become like an even more intense fight because John's super pissed.
You also have to get the line. Like when it's finally over and the dust is settled and Leguizamo or whoever is like, John, is that you? And then he's got to turn and go, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. Got to bring that back around.
That's a great callback.
So here's a question I have for you guys. The franchise, the John Wick franchise, has done, I think, a fun job of in each successive installment adding in sort of like very like what's the word I'm looking for? Like exciting young actors and like just adding cool, interesting people to the cast. People who are like
cameos,
buzzy.
yeah.
Buzzy is the word. So like you had like Ruby Rose in the second one, and then you had Asia Kate Dillon in the third one, and you had these different. They throw in these little
Mark Dacascos, yeah.
Dacascos, Halle Berry. So who would you? Let's say if we had like an opportunity to put in like 3 new characters in that vein, whether they're part of the Assassin's world or whether they're part of Freddy's world or whatever, who do you think, like, what are some buzzy names right now you feel like would be good, would be fun to leverage in this franchise?
Well, let me ask you something real quick. First of all, it's going to have all the cameos of the previous ones, so that's going to be really fun for people. But who's playing Freddy? Are we bringing back, I don't think it's going to be Jackie Earle Haley.
Honestly, I would be fine. I was going to say, I wouldn't mind bringing back Jackie Earle Haley. I don't think that movie worked. But I actually thought his take on Freddy was pretty good.
Well, then you know who's going to be one of the cameos then. Obviously, is one of the new heads of the houses. It's got to be OG Freddy.
Oh, Robert Englund.
Yeah, we're going to have to get Englund as like one of the...
Oh, that's fun.
Of course he's got to pop up in there.
Yeah.
That's really fun. I like that a lot.
I also feel like Samara Weaving would be fun to work in there, both because she's great and because she was just in Bill and Ted 3 with him.
Oh,
yeah.
It'd be a fun reunion.
That is a brilliant choice.
I am shocked that Samara Weaving has not been in a John Wick yet.
Right. It just seems natural anyway, but then you also have the Bill and Ted connection. Like, get Alex Winter in there too, honestly. Why not?
Oh yeah, he could play. He could do a similar cameo like Lawrence Fishburne,
Yeah.
just for the wink at the fans.
Right. Yeah, he doesn't have to do the action stuff, but he could be part of, he's under the table somehow. He's one of these guys.
Let's say he's more of like a wink cameo. So we still have one more slot to fill. We got Samara Weaving, we got Robert Englund as like a head of one of the families. What would be like
I see
a
Samara
third?
Weaving as having like a kid and who's Freddy is trying to take. And she's the one sort of pleading for Wick or for someone to help save her kid.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's really fun.
My memory of the last Friday or Nightmare on Elm Street is a little bit hazy, but am I correct in remembering that Rooney Mara was in that? Was she the star of the last Nightmare on Elm Street?
No, was she? God, it would have been very like... Yeah, I guess it would have been a long time ago. I don't know if it was Rooney Mara. I know it's Kyle Garnier from Veronica Mars. Garnier?
Oh, you know who else would be a fun cameo and a callback would be Lynn Shay.
Oh, wow.
Still active in horror films and was in the original Nightmare on Elm Street as the teacher.
Or, Lawrence Fishburne was in Dream Warriors.
Oh man, can I got the third slot. Can I throw it at you guys?
Lay it on us, yeah.
In a similar role to the Asia Kate Dillon role or the Ruby Rose role, kind of maybe like an enforcer, a person of few words, but somewhat that enforcer role. Awkwafina.
Oh yeah, sure. She'd be great.
Let's get Awkwafina. Just throw Awkwafina in the John Wick franchise. I love it. And I also, if you guys will indulge me, I think I landed on a very good title, legitimately. So John Wick 3 was obviously John Wick 3 Parabellum. This would be John Wick Insomnium.
Oh.
Yes. There you go.
Done.
And who do we want directing this? I know we usually don't bring it out this far, but this I'm like actually invested in as like someone who loves both.
I feel like there is an obvious answer.
What is it?
What?
And there may be disagreement, but it feels like a James Wan joint to me.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Written by
with
Lee
the
Winnell.
horror, with the action, with the otherworldliness, with the huge ensemble. It feels like a James Wan kind of joint.
Okay, we're gonna give it to Lee Winnell to write, but James Wan, absolutely the director on this. That's great.
Oh man,
Could
yeah.
I throw out a potential curveball on the director choice?
Sure.
'Cause I think
Please.
you mentioning James Wan is great because it like combines the worlds of horror and action. What are our thoughts on potentially Adam Wingard having done The Guest
Oh.
as well as a pretty firm history in the horror genre?
Yeah, well, worked with Lance Reddick on The Guest. I mean, I do. Do we want to hold out and see Kong versus Godzilla before we make our final determination?
I can't imagine it's bad.
I'm gonna give it to him because Samara Weaving in You're Next would have been a great role for her. Like she could have been the Australian survivalist in You're Next.
Yeah, she would have been good.
You know,
No, I mean, hey, I love Adam Wingard. Let's do it.
that way you can also bring in all the Adam Wingard faves. You could have One's Own Brendan Myers. He's part of that universe. So is Amy Seimetz and Ty West and
Yeah, and Juan's got like 4 Aquaman spin-offs to do. He's busy anyway.
yeah.
Big brain twist. All 3 of them co-directed at the same time. They out Russo brothers, the Russo brothers.
One of them directs the real world segments. One of them directs the dream world segments.
The Dream is like a totally different director. Wow.
What a crossover event.
I would pay any amount of money for this to actually be real. Like I love Lon knows I'm not the hugest John Wick fan, but I do appreciate the world building.
If it's any amount of money, if you got 200 million lying around, we can make this happen.
Yeah.
I feel like you like the John Wick world except for the car crashes.
I don't
If we
like
could
car
somehow-
crashes.
If we could somehow limit the shooting and the car crashes, the rest of it, I think.
I think we found a way to limit the shooting. This is absolutely going to be like maybe this is even, bear with me, is this a movie where no one shoots a gun the entire film? I mean, because horror movies are generally like, you know, gunless or gun irrelevant.
I mean, I feel like at first, before John sort of realizes the scenario that he's in, there's probably going to be some gunplay. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the challenge of it that makes it interesting is this is a world in which John Wick can't just shoot his way out of every
Oh,
problem.
yeah, you're right. So there should be like a whole first sequence where he doesn't know what he's doing. Like he doesn't know what's going on and he just unloads so many clips into
Right.
Freddy Krueger, like just a bazooka, you know? He's just grabbing everything in his dream world and like using it and it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that he's used to, he can shoot or maybe throw a knife and get out of pretty much anything. Or use a book to bludgeon someone to death.
And not to belabor this, but you know, again, being the huge Wes Craven and Freddy Krueger freak that I am, just a huge Freddy freak. You know, what would be sort of the climax scene of this where he defeats Freddy? What would that look like?
Well, I think the thrill of this is going to be watching John Wick, who we know has this like genius level intellect when it comes to combat, essentially problem solving his way out of this. So he's going to figure out what the rules are and then beat him by understanding the dream world better than Freddy does. And I think that's kind of the cool inversion we want to see by the end, where he becomes the hunter by understanding how to navigate a dream environment.
I was just gonna say, like, the thing that John Wick does very well, like his unique skill is to use whatever's in his environment to sort of save himself. So I think that you introduce the idea that Freddy, whatever objects Freddy introduces to the dream world, John Wick can then turn against him.
So John Wick's gonna have to convince Freddy to put something in the dream world. Oh wait, hold on. I forgot. There's a couple more things in Freddy lore which are canon that might be applicable to this situation, such as you can bring dogs into your dream world. If you are a dream warrior, dogs can be brought into the dream world.
Oh man.
So that's immediately interesting and entertaining for me. At one point, you know, the dog, you know, John Wick's first dog, this giant hell beast now is chasing John, and it looks like it's about to get him, and he just, you know, he whistles, and suddenly his new dog just appears from the, you know, from thin air, just starts going to town. We see dog on dog, dog on hellhound.
I was just thinking Hellhound. I was thinking that exact same thing.
I think that's great. I think you can also, like, yeah, you can bring some things into it. I think it would depend on, like, what it turns out John Wick's dream warrior power is. You know, because some of them have, like, karate skills. Some of them are, you know, have knives and swords. Some of them are wizards. It just really opens up the whole universe. I see, at some point, though, you know, if you have the power that Patricia Arquette had in the third movie, you have the ability to call other people into your dream world. So he could possibly raise reinforcements and bring in,
Ooh.
you know,
Could the climax, the final one-up he gets over Freddy, is that he tricks him to bring him into a dream version of the Continental? And
Yes.
essentially brings together all these dream assassins to back him up.
Yes, that I love.
because of any environment that John would know better than anyone else, I feel like he would be able to navigate the geography of the Continental way better than Freddy could.
Right, and Freddy, disguising himself as Ian McShane throughout the film at certain points, would be lulled into a sense of this is where he's most comfortable. This is where, so torturing John Wick with images of the Continental, which is supposed to be neutral ground. Yeah, I could totally see him tricking Freddy. This is a great movie, and I'm so glad we have it half written.
I think I know, based on this particular podcasting session, I think I already know which poster I'm going to have to Photoshop coming out of this episode.
Oh no, what is it?
It's got to be this one. Like it's just the visuals in my head are incredible, and I think like Insomnium is such a cool title too. Like I see the posters so viscerally in my mind. This is going to have to be the one.
I love it.
Phenomenal. All right, Drew, you want to take this next one?
Sure, let's try it.
All right, let's boot it up. Boop, 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 boop. Drew, we're hearing from the algorithm that Pirates of the Caribbean is actually about to come back into style.
Oh my god!
But it's telling us that the genre that you would expect it in is not the one that's going to sell. We're actually looking for a take on Pirates of the Caribbean that feels like a Western. And in order to shake things up a little bit more, we're looking for a story that's going to use some very non-traditional structure or editing. So we're talking about like it's a Memento style, it goes backwards, or it's Godfather 2 and it's splitting between two stories. Like it's some kind of non-traditional structure.
Well, I'm so glad you guys asked me to come here and pitch again today, because I think I got something right off the bat. Because what is the difference between a Western and a samurai film? There's very few differences in terms of structure and stuff like that. We actually think of things like The Mandalorian as both like a Western and a traditional samurai kind of movie. So I think let's move it over to the editing side first. We're thinking of a Kurosawa kind of Rashomon style movie that's told from four different perspectives that all join up and sort of meet at the end. But we're seeing, we start at the end and then we see flashbacks from four different perspectives of where we started out. I also see this with the Western angle of being like a Magnificent Seven kind of story. So this is the joining up of several different major characters. So we got Captain Jack Sparrow, who's getting the gang together to defeat. What do they do in Westerns? They usually defeat whoever's coming into town, right? So let's make it. Let's say it. Who's coming into town? Well, wait. When did the Pirates movies take place? Because we might actually be able to just hit with the Western. Like he could be going to America and hitting into the American Western culture.
So this is probably our first big obstacle that we need to surmount here.
Yeah, the golden age of piracy would have been like the 17th and 18th centuries, and then the Wild West was not until closer to the 19th century.
So we got about 100 years plus of a gap to cross here.
Were there still pirates? Of course, but was it the swashbuckling, Tortuga era? Like, it was a little later.
So there's you know what? Guess what? This is a Disney film. So there's a magic crystal that sucked Barbossa and Jack Sparrow into it, made them sleep for 100 years. They wake up. It's the American West. It's Manifest Destiny. They're in a trunk somewhere. They've been woken up. And again, this is all going to be from the Rashomon perspective, but we need two more people to be joining up with Jack Sparrow and Barbossa, who are already been like the uncommon bedfellows that we've seen in this franchise.
Blackbeard.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're overlooking, like, to me, the parallel is they're criminal gangs. Like, you'd have bands of outlaws in the Wild West would take the place of, like, ships full
Jimmy
of
the
pirates.
Kid, yeah,
Right.
What's it?
So I feel like, yeah, you're Jack Sparrow, you're Barbossa, they're outlaws of the Ponderosa instead of Pirates of the Caribbean, but it's the same basic idea. It's these guys, they've got these crews and they're on horseback and they're going from town to town robbing people, hijacking trains and stagecoaches, that sort of thing.
So they're the bad guys. So they're maybe meeting up and hitting against somebody like Wyatt Earp, who's going after. Maybe Wyatt Earp is the antagonist in this movie. Somebody that's...
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you're on the side of the outlaws, which is not so weird for a Western. There's plenty of them where the outlaws are sort of the good guys, like your good, the bad, and the ugly sort of scenario.
Yeah, or like 310 to Yuma, which is,
Right, so I think, yeah, the Pirates films always have that, like, it's like the young kid who's running away and joining up with the pirates, and so I think you've got a natural analog right there.
right? Like corrupt Texas Marshals they're going up against, and they're actually the freedom fighters.
Yeah, so I feel like your Rashomon thing already kind of works. It's like whatever the big thing, the climax is going to be, and then we're seeing it from the perspective of, yeah, two different criminal gangs that were both trying for the same score. Maybe the lawman, the local marshal, maybe some Pinkertons were in town. Maybe there's a guy like Swearingen from Deadwood, like a local saloon owner who also wants a taste. Maybe you've got the like Saul Rubinek, like the Nebuchadnezzar newspaper man who's trying to cover the story.
We have
to
the
send
the
it
town
back
local.
to the.
Yeah, we have got like a kid in there. We do have to have a kid.
Yeah, they're going to want to read all about this back in Philadelphia, don't you know? You know, like that kind of guy. Yeah, so you got all those different players that you get to know in this small town and all of their takes on what's coming at the end, the big robber.
Let me swing something at you, because I think the Rashomon angle and what Lon brought up in terms of the 100-year gap has got me thinking about, like storytelling and about like history and trying to solve a history. And what if we set this in the Western era and we follow the descendants of like Jack Sparrow and Captain Barbossa, and they're essentially competing with each other to go after this buried treasure that their ancestors feuded over 100 years ago, and each of them has a very different recollection of how their predecessors told the story of how that treasure hunt went and where that treasure was buried.
Yes.
So they're seeing this. You're kind of cutting in terms of the non-traditional structure. You're seeing the adventure that Barbossa and Jack Sparrow had back in the golden age of piracy. And then you're seeing this more modern Western story taking place at the same time. And you're seeing that previous era from different viewpoints. And it kind of shifts around based on whether it's Jack Sparrow's telling or whether it's Barbossa's telling. And they're trying to get to the truth of it and get to the treasure first.
Yeah, I mean, the treasure could even be buried on Catalina or an island off the coast of California.
Tortuga.
And so at first it's a rush for all of these outlaws to get to the coast and then to somehow get to this island where their ancestors have hidden the Aztec gold or what have you.
I think that works. I think that works really well for me because, like, also like Sparrow just feels like a very cowboy name.
Right. And how do we introduce him? Like we see the saloon, it's empty, or like it's got like a couple people in it. Some big swinging bad comes in through the bar doors and starts threatening everybody. This guy sitting alone at the bar with his cowboy hat tipped over. Suddenly, turns around real quick and destroys them. Like just, bop, 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 bop. Gets rid of the entire crew and saves the town. And he turns to the bartender and he goes, "Now, where's the rum gone?"
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, you got to have the rum in there. He's got to be partially drunk when he does it too.
Yep.
And he's got to use, so like, reckon it's time for some of that rum. Savvy?
Yeah.
That's the tip-off.
Maybe it's not even a him. Is it a her?
Oh.
And not isn't it her? Is it a her that's a non, we don't need to get just a white actor. I mean, Johnny Depp, Captain Jeff Sparrow, had multiple love interests over the course of the film, many of whom were not white. So I think, that really expands our abilities to cast this thing.
Just to help us kind of visualize this better, what is our gut telling us in terms of what would be interesting casting for a Jack Sparrow descendant and a Barbossa descendant, to really capture the essence of those characters, but in a wild reimagining sort of way that catches you off guard?
I see Zsa Zsa Beetz.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, nice.
As what, Jackie Sparrow?
Yeah.
Jackie Sparrow or Jane Sparrow.
Jane Sparrow.
Or Jane Sparrow.
Or Tessa Thompson.
Ooh, yeah.
Right? I mean, that's basically her, and it's a little bit of Valkyrie,
You're right. You're totally right, actually. It is a little bit of Valkyrie, that kind of like that swagger,
That swagger, that like falling down drunk swagger.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I think I'm really on board the Tessa Thompson.
Right?
As Jane or Jackie Sparrow.
And maybe like the Barbossa grandson, progeny son, and it's the two of them and they end up together. This is sort of a, we could have like a Hemsworth in there and we could just get another Tessa Thompson Hemsworth team up.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah. I mean, but it's Chris Hemsworth playing it a little bit, he's a little bit swaggery and he's got this charisma, but he's, since he's a Barbossa, prodigy, he's like, he's not necessarily a good guy. He's got that morally ambiguous zone. So it's like him and it's Hemsworth like in the what's that John Hamm movie, Bad Times at the El Royale, where he's the cult leader. It's a little bit of a menacing Hemsworth.
Ooh.
He's so charismatic in that movie.
Yeah.
Even when he's the bad guy, you still kind of want to root for him. So I think that works really well if the dynamic is them as equals, kind of vying back and forth, because it'd be really hard to pick one side or the other.
Yeah, I mean, that works for me. And then, you're right. So you get these, I mean, Lon's exactly right. You get these differing backstories of how they view their ancestors, and their ancestors, maybe it's they both saw from both of their recollections the other guy shot their father or grandfather or whatever, or great grandfather. It's like in Hemsworth's mind, Sparrow shot Barbossa, and that's how he died. And in Sparrow's mind, it's Barbossa shot Sparrow, and in reality, it was a third party altogether whose descendant we're going to see pop up in the third act.
It's about 100-year difference. And Pirates of the Caribbean is probably about 1750, and we're talking about 1850 for
So grandfather,
the frontier.
let's say.
So yeah, be like grandfather, great grandfather, that sort of thing.
Which works better, I think, because it adds some separation of time for those stories to morph into kind of mythology, family mythology.
And you can also get the fun part of who plays their parents, the missing link,
Can I feel like my brain is going on titles today. Can I pitch you guys a title? And I haven't
Sure.
figured it out, so I actually need your help because the word sounds fantastic, but I'm not sure if it applies. But
Okay.
instead of Pirates of the Caribbean, for some reason I really like the word Pirates of the Meridian. But
Ooh.
does Meridian have any relevance to the Western genre, or is it at all relevant to what
No.
we're talking about?
I mean, not really. The meridian is the arc that extends from the north to the south pole. That's it's the prime meridian, the meridian line. So it's not really a western.
It's like the opposite of the equator.
Generic enough where you could make it fit, but it doesn't immediately conjure Western, I think.
Do you know why? Do you know why I'm thinking of it in this context? I just realized it's because of the Cormac McCarthy novel, The Blood Meridian.
Blood Meridian.
That's why.
Right,
That's
which is westerny, but is not. Yeah.
Okay, wait, I think I have it. I
Okay,
think
good.
it's pretty easy. It's Pirates of the Caribbean, Manifest Destiny.
But they're not
Ooh.
pirates, and it's not set in the Caribbean, though.
It's Pirates of the Caribbean presents.
Yeah, Paradise.
Right. It has to be Pirates of the Caribbean presents Outlaws of the Ponderosa.
Oh man, I like
Outlaws
those. They're all
isn't bad.
good. Those are all good titles. Manifest Destiny, I like too. That's a fun one.
Yeah, I like Outlaws of the Ponderosa : Manifest Destiny. Sure.
That's cute.
Yeah, so it's almost like a hidden. It's almost like maybe you could even have it as a hidden sequel. You don't know that this is part of the extended Pirates universe until you go see the movie. It's just being billed as
Like Split
I like
style,
that.
or was it
Right.
was
Sort of like a split glass sort of
Yes.
sneak
sneaky
sequel?
franchise extender.
it's like a split in or broken. Unbreakable.
Well, that I would say, if you manage to market this successfully without telling people that they were attached, the reveal that she's playing Jane Sparrow would be really epic in the theater.
Right, it's just a matter of marketing and how much money does Disney want from this, because
Right. When you actually have her say savvy, and then she's like, my great granduncle buried a treasure out here and it's Jack Sparrow, people will freak out.
yeah, people are gonna die. I think you can hint at it in the
Yeah.
trailer. I mean, look, are we living in a post 2020 reality here? Can this be something that's goes to streaming?
I think that's an interesting angle.
Yeah.
At the very end, when she jumps off the stagecoach and the boots hit the ground, you just play that little fanfare dun 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 dun, dun cut.
Well,
that's it.
we have been seeing part of the movie throughout the movie that these flashbacks. So we are going to need to reveal it throughout the film. I just think it's not in the marketing material.
Or maybe you just have Jeffrey Rush and Johnny Depp are in it, but we don't tip off that they're playing these classic characters.
Yes.
I think the streaming angle that Drew brought up is so interesting to me if we're going from a marketing standpoint, because that streaming doesn't need a giant opening weekend. That's not we can have this stretched over a little bit of time. Can you imagine the word of mouth if someone stealth dropped a Pirates of the Caribbean sequel onto Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Once people start
true.
figuring that out and talking about that, instant subscriptions. I think that's a huge kind of cultural moment.
That's what I'm saying.
You'd also have a great opportunity. The Wild West presents you with so many more potent opportunities for old rock star cameos. That's such a mainstay of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. You could work Neil Young in. Tom Waits could certainly show up in these.
Tom Waits is in this.
Tom Waits is a huge part of this movie. He's the one who brings back the monkey.
He's Barbossa's dad. Like, he's the missing link in the Barbosa family line. Yeah,
That's
there you go.
amazing. Tom Waits is Barbosa's son / Chris Hemsworth.
He is Jeffrey Rush's grandson, so he's Chris Hemsworth's dad in this.
Oh
What a
my
lineage.
god.
Oh,
That's
man.
perfect. Okay, so who are we gonna have as the Johnny Depp? Who's the granddaughter or daughter of, or grandson of Johnny Depp? That's gonna come in. I see somebody sort of rakish, like let's think about this for a second. Could it be someone like Lance Reddick? Could it be somebody that's that's the Johnny Depp side?
What do you think about like a Dan Stevens in sort of Legion mode?
Oh,
A
man.
little too young. A little too young, I feel like.
Dan Stevens is like 40.
Well,
Oh, I
yeah, but
guess
Dan
if he's
Stevens
being
is Tom
paired
Waits.
with Tom Waits, that's fair.
But I do see Dan Stevens as showing up as the big bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just you said if you say Dan Stevens, you can't. It's one of the laws. It's one of the 3 laws of the universe. You cannot retract it. You can't retract a Dan Stevens.
You can't retract it. I don't want to retract Dan Stevens. I just see Dan Stevens as showing up as someone who pretends to be helpful.
Yeah, 100%.
Along the course, and then is revealed to be the person whose his predecessors are the ones who actually shot Barbosa and Sparrow.
Oh man, Dan Stevens would be such a good cowboy.
Yeah, Dan Stevens. Oh my God, Dan Stevens would be such a good cowboy. But that moment where he drops the cowboy accent and he's just Dan Stevens, British guy, is going to be terrifying.
Evil British people. That's very Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right? Maybe, wait. In the latest Pirates of the Caribbean, weren't they searching for like the Fountain of Youth? So maybe Dan Stevens isn't even a descendant. Maybe he was the guy who stole.
He's still alive.
He's still alive.
Good
Nobody
twist.
watched. You don't want to tie into that Pirates movie. Nobody watched that one. Tie into one of the ones people like.
Yeah, but I'm saying the legacy has given us the ability to. By the way, okay, fine. The original Pirates, then this still idea of the immortality. The immortality is a huge factor in the original.
Right, immortality, sure. Just not the Javier Bardem undead one. Nobody liked that.
Now that you mention it, they've played the undead immortal 3 times. They did it in Curse of the Black Pearl. They did it in on Stranger Tides, and they did it in Dead Men Tell No Tales.
A lot of ways to live forever.
Because Davy Jones is also undead. They're all undead on some level.
So yeah, so that's going to allow for such a good team up, such a good Magnificent Seven team up. You can get the Kraken in there. Yeah, they go back and they have to put the gang together. It's basically a heist movie almost. It's like a train heist movie, but with Davy Jones involved.
Legitimately, if like Dan Stevens or whoever this immortal character is, like brought out the coin from the first one, to
Yes!
reveal that he's been kept alive by this treasure. That's a fan moment.
That's a fan moment. That's also the moment, that's the reveal moment of like, Barbosa and Johnny Depp, with the Mexican standoff moment where it's revealed to be Johnny Depp, Jeffrey Rush, and Dan Stevens, and only one of them has the coin, and they all think they have it, and then it's like the shot, and then it's no, Barbosa and Sparrow fall.
It's also just to go back to you when you mentioned doing a little bit of the theme of the Pirates theme, the thought of that classic Pirates motif, but in a very like Ennio Morricone style,
Yes!
Yeah.
is so tantalizing.
Goosebumps.
When Westworld did that Painted Black is
Yeah.
their first opening. So yeah, I love that.
I mean, while we're here, let's just get Ramin Djawadi to do the score. So I'm trying to find ways to put Ramin Djawadi into pretty much everything. So
And is that how you pronounce his name? Because I've always said Raymond Dewaldy.
yeah, Raymond Dewaldy. Yeah, no, he's fun fact. We're basically the same in terms of like what do you call it, cultural makeup.
Oh, really?
Because he's so it's like semi-reverse though. So like I'm Persian and German from my dad's side and Persian from my mom's side, and he's Persian German. Persian from his dad's side,
Whoa.
German from his mom's side. So I have, and we both really like music. So I identify really hard with that dude. So I'm just trying to find any way to signal boost that guy. So let's just throw him in.
He's in there, and isn't the original composer Hans Zimmer? Yeah, it's like a him and Hans Zimmer co-collaboration.
Yeah,
I love that.
there you go. There
That's-
you go.
yeah.
Man, that ties in really well.
Worlds collide.
Who's directing this? Because let's give this to somebody good. She says as if that's like that's not just.
I mean, I was gonna suggest someone bad, but now that we're on this angle,
Let's give it to someone mediocre.
James Mangold, I feel like would do a really good job. With
Oh
this.
my
And
gosh,
he did that
yeah.
310 to Yuma remake that was really
sure.
Okay, you know what? This is a rare time where I just say that's great, that's perfect. That's it. That's in the movie. I like it. I love it. It's in the movie.
You're doing Star Magic Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
Although, just for the sake of being, Randy, Deborah Chow, I think, could do a really good job.
Interesting. Okay. She's got a little bit more of the pulp chops, I feel like, after the Mandalorian. It'd be a little bit more of a fun kind of romp take.
But remember how I started this movie is that it's, samurai films and Western films are very, very similar. And Mandalorian is itself like a Western type of, a Western Rashomon kind of, or samurai kind of story. So I feel like that works.
Not wrong.
I also think James Wan, again, just putting him out there. I know he's super busy, but James Wan could kind of kill this.
I'll throw out one more choice that I feel like is worse than all the other choices that have been presented so far, but I just really want to see him get more work. I'm thinking maybe a Robert Rodriguez.
Oh, sure.
That'd be
okay.
fun.
Yeah. Like opposing bands of outlaws. Yeah, that's
You know what,
Rodriguez-y.
guys? I've just gotten some notes back from the studio. They love this. They don't want to choose between these directors. So what they're going to do is the flashbacks are going to be directed as separate by separate people, while the main story is going to be directed by Lon's right, James Mangold.
Oh man, I love that. I love everything about that. It's in the movie. Done.
It's in the movie. Love it.
All right, 3 really solid ideas today. At the end of each of these episodes, we also tack on one additional pitch based on a logline provided by one of our listeners in what we call the high concept deck. If you'd like to see or hear us pitch one of your ideas, feel free to hit us up on any of our social media accounts, and we'll work it into the deck. This week, guys, anyone who feels like they have a take for this, step right in. Our logline is First Contact with aliens happens in an Amish community. What does that feel like?
Well, that's going to be really interesting because the Amish already don't have like first world country technology, let alone alien technology.
The angle that I feel like is resonating right off the bat for me is less the technological angle and more kind of the isolation angle, just being a very insular community. Like you're maybe a little bit more trapped in that environment, or maybe just isolated if it's not a horror retake. Just kind of a little bit more of a compact environment for that story to take place in.
I had a thought, a sort of a comedy, a sci-fi comedy take on this. So it is the near future. Humanity has advanced to the point that we are ready. The International Federation of Planets has decided humanity's ready to be introduced to alien life, so they send the emissaries to Earth. But the emissaries accidentally happen to land in Amish country, and looking around, they're like, oh no, the Galactic Federation made a horrible mistake. This planet isn't ready to meet aliens. They're still farmers. And so they have to very carefully try to escape without letting anybody know that they're there, because they can't violate the prime directive. They can't be the first indication that humans have that there's aliens. So it's like escape from Amish country. How do the aliens blend in until they can fix their ship and get home without disturbing the Amish way of life?
Right. If we're going kind of the comedy angle, maybe these aliens are kind of the B squad or the C squad that got sent to Earth as Earth is not on the list of priorities for planets to add to the Galactic Federation, but we might have qualified, so we have to do our routine check. So they break their ship or they crash their ship on the way in. And so they are stranded here. But they expected this planet is technologically sound. We'll introduce them to the Galactic Federation. They'll fix our ship and we'll be out of here. But they're stuck in Amish country, as you pointed out, which hijinks ensue.
It's kind of you could also go even more, but it's kind of a Spies Like Us angle. Like it's their first assignment. They're really scared to mess it up. And now, oh my God, they're in way over their heads. Or the fat boys as the disorderlies. This sort of a vibe.
Is this too cheesy? Could it be that over the course of the film that they, because of the kindness and the generosity of the Amish people, that they sort of realized that their initial judgment of them was wrong, and then by the end of the movie they welcome humanity into the Galactic Federation on the basis of the Amish people?
Yeah, on the basis of the Amish people, the best versions of the people.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. Or I think an alternate ending would be they decide not to go back at all and to just stay and become Amish themselves.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. I really like that. Okay, so what do these aliens look like? It's almost like a Witness kind of thing.
Well, right. I feel like they have to look humanoid enough that they can hide out. Like we have some funny scenes where they put on the clothes and they try to pose as Amish people. So I feel like it's got to be like a Coneheads type thing. Like they look different enough that it's funny and they don't perfectly blend in, but not so different that it's impossible for them to hide out.
could we play the this might be a little bit too cliche, but that angle of like they learned a lot about humanity through pop culture, so they're emulating
Sure.
things from TV shows and movies and intentionally
Right.
running into hijinks because of that?
But you can also have a lot of fun with, well, they've been studying the culture of the year 2057 or whatever the Earth civilization that at that time that they're planning to visit. So you can have a lot of jokes where we're reflecting on they're prepared for a society that's even more far down the road than we are. So shouldn't these human beings be on their phones 20 hours a day? Where are their phones? You know, like that kind of stuff.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see what
Oh.
you're saying. That's interesting.
Like satirical
Sure.
critiques of our own civilization through the
Uh-huh.
perspective of these aliens who've been studying.
That's I like
They just
that.
assume like our phones are part of our like biological apparatus. We evolved
right,
these screens
exactly.
into our hands.
Or like not everybody is talking about the Kardashian Jenner, the Rock Johnson family. What's wrong with them? You know.
Oh, that's like they have a list of like conversation starters, and
Yeah,
nothing
like
is
the things-
working. They don't know what to talk about.
Right. They've prepped to meet us, the like living in big urban centers humanity, not the Amish.
I love it.
That's so fun. It could be you'd be sending up all sorts of like, be like, and when will the Twitch stream be happening? When will the
Right,
when will that
exactly.
be
And they're like,
beginning?
oh no, you should ask Hezekiah about that. I have no idea.
As a guy. That's fun. I like that. That feels like
Yeah.
that feels like a pretty shootable, like writable and shootable film. To be honest, like you need a little special effects, but nothing that you couldn't do.
I've got a tagline for you guys also. So I don't have the title yet, but imagine like the three aliens and they're all like making expressions like whoops, we're in the wrong place. And then the tagline at the bottom is room springa for 3 more.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
That happened.
This feels like it feels dated, but in a way that feel intentional. Like this feels like a
Yes.
callback to those classic like 80s and 90s
Right.
just slapstick comedies. And I feel like
Exactly.
in our current time and place, it feels nostalgic in a way that I'm really enjoying. Like it feels very wholesome in a way that I'm really craving.
Yeah, it feels exactly. This feels like the kind of thing I would have seen in the 80s, like with my brother at the, at the theater, like some kind of disposable, like John Hughes maybe produced it. It feels like that kind of thing.
For those of us listening next year, theater was this building we used to go to watch
Oh,
movies in.
yeah, sorry. Sorry to use such a dated term.
Too soon, man. Too soon. Can we just throw Steve Martin and Martin Short in there and just be done with it?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
If we're going for the nostalgic tone, that works.
Steve Martin and Martin Short would be great, like heads of the Amish community.
Yeah.
Oh, what if they're FBI investigators who get sent into the Amish community
Yeah, sort of like a
to
Coneheads
investigate the reports
Right.
of alien landing, but they're bumbling kind of investigators.
I feel like that's Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd's the FBI guy.
Oh yeah, that works. That works.
Yeah. Like by the book, like Joe Friday from Dragnet style Aykroyd.
I think that's a fun antagonistic force, though. of them
Right, yeah.
Trying to dodge
He's like-
this government investigator.
And you can sort of parody Witness there too, like the investigator coming into the Amish community, that kind of fish out of water thing. Yeah.
It feels like, and not to denigrate it at all, but it feels like a really good like Netflix original, like something that would come out straight to streaming, but everyone would be talking about it. It just feels fun. It feels nostalgic. This is the movie of the weekend.
I'm sure Netflix is stoked about the fact that you had to preface that as not to denigrate it,
They
but
know what they're doing. They are fully aware of what they're making.
oh man, that's good. I feel like that's a maybe a good place to put an end to it. As fun as it's been, we've come up with some really really good pitches. I don't think it's a coincidence that having Drew on for the second time and now having Lon on, that we've come up with some of the best concepts that I think we've ever come up with in the history of the show.
Oh well, thank you. We are good in the room.
Okay.
We are happy to announce that next episode will be just them. We've been fired.
We'll take it from here, guys.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
We're gonna go to the street with the street sign and start hawking 5G, and that's gonna be our career. But yeah, really appreciate you guys coming on. I want to give you both an opportunity. I know you're both very busy people, so obviously we appreciate your time. But I want to give you guys an opportunity to just let the people know where they can find you online and some of the other projects that you guys are involved in.
Lana, you want to take this first?
Sure, I'll go first. So you can find me on Twitter at LONS. That's the best place to keep up with whatever I'm working on. And also, I have a new podcast of my own with Hal Rudnick. It's called Binge Boys. We watch a bunch of streaming shows every week, and then we talk about them and make jokes about them and goof off in generally fun ways. And you can find that on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's called Binge Boys. Check it out.
And you are one of the titular boys?
I am one of the 2 titular boys. That's
Wonderful.
correct.
And me, you can find me at Video Drew across all social media. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can find me on my Patreon, patreon.com/Video Drew. It's one word, so that's helpful. Where we have some cool tiers for our shows, which include video chronic pop culture quizzes on my YouTube channel. Mondays and Thursdays, and we have Cinema Bias on Tuesdays. We have Live in the Dark with Video Drew, which is my kayfabe show that I do with my character for the Movie Trivia Schmodown. You can also see me on the Movie Trivia Schmodown, you guys, where I'm going to be performing for the live pay-per-view match on November 14th. So that's going to be pretty fun. And then, I think the last thing is my Twitch, which is twitch.tv, again, /Video Drew.
Drew is increasingly too famous for this show, so
No, the opposite.
At some point, the budget will not support Drew as a guest. But yeah, thanks guys, and of course, if you enjoyed what you heard on this podcast, you can find us on social at Let's Write Pod. Give us a follow there. Obviously, feel free to chip in the last pitch of every episode. We usually do a concept pitch that we take from our audience, as Ryan mentioned. So feel free to share some fun ideas with us, and we'll potentially try to pitch it on the show. And you can also find our treatments that we've done, past scripts that we've written, posters we've designed, and all sorts of other fun content on our website, letswritepod.com. Yeah, so give it a visit, and we'll see you guys on the next podcast.